Assalamu alaikum. It is Thursday, the 6th of June 2022. We apologize that we had a slight technical hitch, which has not only made us a minute or two late, but also it means that the intro is missing. This is our series Reflections on the Holy Quran, and this is broadcast number 290 in that series, in which we are considering the meanings of the words of chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 97. We're looking at individual words to see what they mean, and this is the fourth broadcast in considering this verse of the Holy Quran. Just to remind you that the Lahore Ahmadiyya community which brings you these broadcasts was created by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Rahmatullah Alayh, and he taught us that whereas other people say that after the Holy Prophet Muhammad another prophet will come, this is not true, because the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet Muhammad was Khatamun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained that this means La Nabi Abadi. There is no prophet after me. But the Holy Prophet also said that when a Muslim nation is in need, then reformers will be sent by Allah to guide Muslims. Now, this, of course, leads to a difference of opinion about their reform and whether they are reformers sent by Allah or not. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught that whereas others are very keen to start shouting heretic, heretic at others, the Holy Prophet Muhammad had said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter, you are a heretic, it is the person saying it who is closer to heresy. So just note what the Holy Prophet Muhammad is saying. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also taught us that whereas other Muslims say parts of the prophetic revelation received by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, such as Ayah Rajam and Surah Walayat, are missing from the Holy Quran. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that God has said, I've revealed the Holy Quran and I shall be its guardian. So nothing can be missing. Nothing can be missing from the Holy Quran. All prophetic revelation is in the Holy Quran. He also pointed out that our other brothers believe that some verses of the Holy Quran have been abrogated, cancelled. This again is wrong. No verse of the Holy Quran was, is, or ever shall be abrogated. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that jihad is a fundamental duty of every Muslim, male or female, young or old. But jihad, as defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, who when returning from fighting said, from minor jihad we now turn to the major jihad, and then went on to say that the major jihad is a struggle in the way of Allah with yourselves. Jihad bin nafs. That is the real jihad which needs to be carried out constantly and continuously. So with that, let us turn, as I said, to the verse of the Holy Quran that we are going to continue to discuss. As I said, Al-Baqarah chapter 2, verse 97. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل من كان عدوا لجبريل فإنه نزله على قلبك بإذن الله مصدقا لما بين يديه وهدى وبشرى للمؤمنين. Say, whoever is an enemy of Gabriel, for surely he revealed to your heart by Allah's command, verifying that which is before it, and a guidance and glad tidings for the believers. So today the two words we are going to consider are qalbika and biizni. So let us turn to my notes on my computer and see what information we can find about these words of the Holy Quran. Here we are. So the first word is kalbika, and its triliteral root is qaf, lam, and ba. And it's made up of two segments, qalb and ka. And it occurs in the Holy Quran in different forms 168 times, and there are 9 forms in which it appears. For example, 132 times it appears as qalb, and 17 times it appears as in qalaba, and then 6 times it appears as kallabu, and or kalabu is better pronunciation, and 5 times as taqallub. Some of these things are written quite small. It becomes difficult to have the whole thing in one screen. But anyway, so there we are. And oh, I'm in the wrong place here. As I frequently say that I have an Urdu broadcast just before this one, and sometimes the notes, the pages get out of order. Anyway, the expression qalbu shay'i, it means to change the condition of something, to turn something from one state into another. Now we have qalbul insani, and that means to turn someone away from a path. Chapter 29, verse 21, it says, wa ilayhi tuqlabun, and you will be returned to it, turned back to it. Then we have the word al in al in qilabu. And of course, it means turning, um, but it's also used in Urdu inqilab, and there the meaning has been restricted to revolution. The French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, and so on. So we have chapter 3, verse 144, which says, وَمَن يَنْقَلِبْ عَلَىٰ عَقِبَيْهِ عَقِبَيْهِ, and the one who will be turned back on his heels, or the one who will turn back on his heels. Inna ila rabbina munqalibun, chapter 26, verse 50. And will be returned, turned back to our Lord. And now we know that this word is also used to mean the heart, the physical organ that's in our breast. And people say that the reason for this is the fact that the heart frequently changes its condition. Sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's serious, whatever. Now, a lot of the time when the word qalb is used, what it actually means is some characteristic, some adjective, such as knowledge or courage, bravery. For example, in chapter 33, verse 10, it says, وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرِ, and their hearts got into their throats. Obviously, a heart doesn't leap up and get into your throat. In English, we say, that his heart stopped with fear. And that is the same thing here. That because they were terrified, their heart leapt into their throats. And then we have chapter 50, verse 37, where we have a different use. Inna fi zalika la zikra liman kana lahu qalb. And the person who has a heart, there is in it guidance for him. Now, that this would seem odd to you, because everyone has a heart. You can't have a living thing, a creature, that doesn't need a heart to pump blood throughout the body. So what does it mean? The person who has a heart. It means the person who has knowledge. In it, there is guidance. You can't be guided if you don't have knowledge. So, similarly, in chapter 6, verse 25, it says, وَجَعَلْنَا عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ أَكِنَّةً أَن يَفْقَهُوهُ. And we have put a covering over their hearts, and they will not understand. Obviously, your heart is covered, it's in our chest. But how can God put a covering over the heart? And that means that they lack knowledge, they lack understanding, It is as if their hearts were in a covering. Light couldn't get to the heart. Another expression for this in chapter 9, verse 87 is, and we have sealed their hearts. We've closed their hearts. And they don't understand. But again, it's the same meaning as covering the hearts. Again, in chapter 3, verse 126, it says, Walitat ma'i, Walitat ma inna qulubukum bi. So, contentment, satisfaction enters into your hearts. So, by a heart being content and peaceful, it means that that person is not afraid of anything. So basically what it's saying is made you brave, made you courageous, or gave you courage. And the opposite also mentioned is also mentioned. This is chapter 33, verse 26. وَقَذَفَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمُ الرُّعْبَ. And this rob is fear, awe. And in their awe was put in their hearts, fear was put in their hearts, and they became afraid. And then we have chapter 48, verse 4, which says, هُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Chapter 48, verse 4, and he is the one who puts the believers' hearts at peace. Sakina. He reveals. Sakina descends. Anzala that we did yesterday, that it descends. What descends? Sakina. Contentment. Peace. So that means they are not afraid. So, and further on, God says, chapter 6, verse 11, وَنُقَلِّبُ أَفْئِدَتُهُمْ أَبْصَارَهُم. And we'll turn their eyes and their hearts. What does that mean? It means that they'll feel embarrassment. It's like, when you lower your gaze, when you're embarrassed, or, you caught out doing something you shouldn't have been, etc. So you can see that, Arabic language is a broad language. And the word heart, it's just, the word qalb, it's just heart, something that beats in your chest. But in Arabic, it can mean knowledge, it can mean bravery, it can mean fear, etc. It can have 1,000 different meanings depending on how and where it's used. The next word is bi-izni. That is also two segments. Bi is one segment and izni is the other one. And its root is Hamza, Wal, Noon. And it occurs in the Holy Quran 102 times in 9 different forms. And 39 times it occurs as Izn. and 23 times as azina, and 12 times as is is ta zana. So and then 3 times, 2 times azana, 3 times, and asana twice, and so on. So let us see what it means. Again, my notes for this are also out of order. Here we are. The word al-uzunu means ear, and uzunun applies to every single person who hears something and accepts it. For example, the Holy Quran in chapter 9, verse 61 says, وَيَقُولُونَ هُوَ أُذُنٌ قُلْ أُذُنُ خَيْرٍ لَكُمْ. And they say that this person is just ears. And tell them, if he is such, then this is for your benefit. And that means that this person hears and obeys. The point is that they're complaining that the Holy Prophet Muhammad does not question what God says. God says do, and he does. And God says don't do, and he doesn't. And the believers, his companions, Sahaba, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, they were exactly the same. That the Holy Prophet would say, God has said this, God has commanded this, and then say, we hear and we obey. Now, Isnun is also used, or is also applied to knowledge that we gain by hearing. For example, the Holy Quran in chapter 2, verse 279 says, فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. So be warned. فَأْذَنُوا. So this is, they're being informed that you are at war with Allah and His Prophet. So then chapter 7, verse 167, the Quran says, وَإِذْ Rabbuk. And remember the time when your Lord warned or informed the Jews. Now, so here the word means to announce. And what do we call the announcement for prayer? Azan. Exactly the same thing. What do we call the person who calls out the azan? Muazzin. That is from the Holy Quran as well. Thumma azana muazzinun ayyatuhal isir. So caller called out to the caravan. Similarly, try and make this bigger. I'm having difficulty reading it. That's a bit better. فَأَذَّنَ مُؤَذِّنٌ بَيْنَهُمْ. So at that time, a crier shall call out. As I said, well, let's look at the next verse as well. وَأَذِّنْ فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ. 22, chapter 22, verse 27. So make an announcement of Hajj to the people. So here, Azzin is used as an announcement, a declaration. And what is Azan? Azan is also an announcement, a declaration. And what information does it give? Is it giving you? That it's time for prayer. What information are people going to get from this verse of the Holy Quran? Announce the Hajj. It's time for Hajj. And as I said, and people don't notice or realize that these words have been adopted into Urdu. And from Urdu, I mean, we've gone to other countries, people from what used to be India to Africa. They've gone to Africa and South America and West Indies and so on. And they've lost this link. Now, mind you, people in India and Pakistan don't realize this link, but anyway, such is life. Chapter 4, verse 64. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا لِيُطَاعَ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. Arsalna, sent. Who? Rasul. For what? To be obeyed in accordance with Allah's commandment. Iznillah. What God ordered. And there is this thing amongst all nations, particularly Muslims, that the magic and all these potions and blowing on people and so on. What does the Quran say? Chapter 2, verse 102. وَمَا هُمْ بِضَارِّينَ بِهِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. And unless God determines, Iznillah, unless God commands, then all this magic and all these things, they can't harm you. You'll only be harmed if God has decided. وَلَيْسَ بِضَارِّهِمْ شَيْئًا إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. Chapter 58, verse 10. And except that God does it, causes it, nothing can harm you. So all these things about, the evil eye and people doing magic and magic incantations and all this kind of thing, the Quran says that they don't work. If something happens, maybe a coincidence, but God had commanded it. That's why it happened. And this is the last verse I'll deal with. Mama kana li nafsi an mina illa bi iznillah. Chapter 10, verse 100. And no one has the power to believe except by Allah's command. So some people say that, look, God is saying that it's only my command that allows people to believe. So if I don't believe, why is he going to punish me? His will wasn't that I should believe. So Um, the example I give to explain this is like a teacher who tells a student you're going to fail, and the student does fail, and he then blames the teacher. So, well, you said I'll fail. This is why I failed. No, you didn't fail because the teacher said you will fail. You failed because you failed to follow the rules and regulations for passing an exam and maybe getting good grades. The teacher could see you weren't revising. The teacher could see you weren't doing past papers. The teacher could see you weren't doing timed past papers. And because you weren't doing them, that's why you failed. Not because the teacher said. The teacher was explaining to you the consequences that you were flouting these rules and this is what will happen. And here, God is Nilla, God's permission is God's law. That God has said that that you need to do this, and then you will believe. And if you don't do that, then it's not God's fault. He's given you free will, and you decided, you use that free will to say, no, I'm not going to do it. So with that, I see we've not in a way overrun our time, because this is 32 minutes and we started a bit late. But I will take my leave of you. Tomorrow is Friday, so we'll broadcast Friday sermon at 1 p.m. And then on Saturday, we will have at 1 p.m. UK time again a broadcast on the WhatsApp group Pure Discussions. And then I hope that next week on Monday, we'll carry on with further thoughts on these verses of the Holy Quran. With the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep everyone safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Huda Hafiz, and goodbye.